Welcome to Thoughts on Investing. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating company in the booming space technology sector, Canada's very own MDA Space. Now, there is so much hype around space stocks right now, so we're going to dig in and see if MDA has the real substance to back up the story. Let's get into it.
All right, before we get going, you know the drill. Just a quick reminder that this is all for educational purposes. It's definitely not financial advice. Markets can be pretty wild, so please always do your own homework before making any investment decisions.
So here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll talk about why space is such a huge deal right now. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of MDSS itself and why it might be undervalued. After that, we'll pull up the charts to look at the technical side of things. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the risks and our final takeaway.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the big picture. Why is everybody suddenly talking about space? I mean, from governments to private investors, it's everywhere. Well, the reason is this massive shift in thinking. Space isn't just about astronauts and exploration anymore. It's quickly becoming critical infrastructure for our entire planet.
This huge transformation is really being driven by three powerful forces. First, you've got defense and national security. Governments are pouring billions into space for surveillance and communications. Second, the economics just plain work now. It's cheaper to get to space, so commercial companies can actually build profitable businesses up there. And third, because of all this, investors are starting to look at space companies differently. Not as crazy sci-fi bets, but as stable, long-term infrastructure plays.
Okay, so with that background, let's zero in on MDA. The big question we're exploring today is whether this company might just be an undervalued key player in this whole space infrastructure build-out.
So for anyone who's not familiar, MDA has been around for decades. These guys aren't the new kids on the block. They build the guts of the space industry, the satellite systems, the robotics, the intelligence platforms. Think of it like a gold rush. MDA isn't panning for gold, they're selling the picks and shovels to everyone else. It's a fantastic business model.
But you know, the space sector is full of these really flashy, high-profile names that get all the attention. So how does a steady Eddie company like MDA really stack up? Is there real substance there, or is it just boring?
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this comparison. MDA has a diverse business pulling in nearly $1.5 billion in revenue. And here's the kicker. It's profitable. Now compare that to a more speculative play like SpaceMobile, which is losing a ton of money. Even a fantastic company like Rocket Lab is still in that heavy investment phase. The point is, MDA is already a mature, financially strong business.
And if you need more proof of that stability, look at this number. $4.4 billion. That's their current backlog of contracted work. In this industry, that is huge. It means they have years of revenue already locked in. It's not just a forecast, it's guaranteed work.
So let's put it all together. The whole case for MDA being undervalued really boils down to these key points. We're talking about a company with actual revenue and real profits, not just a cool story. Its business is spread out, so it's not betting the farm on one thing. And because of that, you could argue there's way less of that speculative hype priced into the stock compared to its peers.
Okay, so the fundamental story looks pretty solid, right? But a good story is one thing. The question is, does the stock chart agree with it? Let's pull up the technicals and see if they support this bull case. All right, let's break these charts down. On the left, we've got the weekly chart. You can see the stock had a nice pullback, but it found solid ground right on this long-term rising trend line, right around that $21 zone. Now, what's really telling is how it tried to dip below that line, but got snatched right back up by buyers. That is a huge sign of strength. Then, if we shift over to the monthly chart on the right, you can see this classic, powerful bullish reversal pattern forming. The fact that this is happening at that same key support level is, well, it's exactly what you want to see. So, to sum up what the charts are telling us, we've got major support holding strong, we have sellers trying to push the price down and failing, which is super bullish, and we have this big Morningstar reversal pattern on the big picture monthly chart. When you put all those technical signals together, they line up perfectly with the fundamental story, and they suggest the stock could be setting up for a move back toward its all-time highs.
Now, as good as all that sounds, we have to be realistic. No investment is a sure thing. So to get the full picture, we have to flip the coin over and talk about the potential risks here.
There are a few key things to keep in mind. First, even if it's undervalued relative to peers, it's not a dirt cheap stock. The market is already expecting strong growth, so any stumbles could be punished. Second, this is the space sector. It's inherently volatile, and a lot of business is tied to government spending cycles, which can be pretty unpredictable. And finally, these are massive, complicated projects.
Any major delays or problems executing on a big contract could seriously impact their bottom line.
So our final takeaway really comes down to this quote, which I think sums it up perfectly. MDA can be a meaningful long-term space sector play for investors who want exposure to the expanding commercial and defense space markets, but it's not without risk. And that's really the heart of it. You've got a compelling case based on real profits and a solid chart, but you absolutely have to weigh that against the risks of this exciting but volatile industry.
And that's our deep dive on MDA Space. I hope you found this breakdown helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Thanks so much for watching.